Hi, my name is James Coulter with Craftworks Northwest, and first I'd like to thank you for taking the time to sit through this video, and the purpose of which is to demonstrate the process of converting a rasterized graphic to a vectorized one. And what brought this video about is that we have customers fairly frequently providing us with rasterized graphics, or commonly known as like JPEGs, PNGs, things like that. With their orders, and that go with their laser engraved products. And when we receive those graphics with those orders, there's some additional steps, additional processes that have to happen to be able to use that artwork, because we cannot laser engrave with rasterized graphics. We have to have them converted and processed into vectorized graphics to be able to use for engraving. So that being said, we felt it was for the benefit of our customers to educate and inform, it was pretty much incumbent on us to explain what may happen when when we provide these graphics with us, or graphics to us, with the expectation that they're going to be engraved, and that's just it's not as simple as that. So with that, we can go ahead and dive right in. So as you can see here, I have a couple of mosaic patterns loaded into Illustrator, and for all intents and purposes, some subtle differences between the two just right off the bat. But one of these is a vector image, and the other one is a rasterized image. And so the first one is this one here is actually the rasterized image, and this would be the vectorized image. So what we would, one of the first things that we look for is, in any graphics that we receive, whether it's even in vectorized image files, is we look for this. We expand it, we blow it up, and we look for pixelation. If there's pixelation, that means that it's a rasterized graphic, and we won't be able to engrave with that file as in that format. So we would, if we received an order that had this, this rasterized image attached to it, we'd reach out to the customer and, have a conversation about procuring some of the other services that we do provide. We do provide conversion and repair services, a couple of levels of service, basic conversion, or a conversion with, the full services, if you will, that include all the necessary pre and post processing, steps. And the manual corrections that have to be made to create a vector image with that artwork. So this file is actually created from this rasterized image file. And so if you blow this up, vector is comprised of paths and paths, curves, nodes, and these little handles that you can scale and manipulate the graphic. It's very malleable, very easy, very simple to work with. If you understand the software and what how that all comes into play. That's the long and the short of it. We would be able to engrave with this, and not with this. So how did we get from here to here? Well, that's what we're going to go over. So the first thing that we would want to do is we have to actually put this through a trace program. Illustrator, Inkscape, CorelDRAW, they all have the vector editing software does have image tracing functions, but they're not really purpose built for that. The problem with you can get the job done, but they're not the most efficient tool for the job, and the software that we actually prefer for that type of work is called Graphic Tracer, and it's a design software that's specifically purpose built for correcting bad graphics, correcting low resolution graphics, bringing raster images into the into vectorized formats, and quickly being able to make the edits and corrections needed to develop the file into a quote-unquote high resolution vectorized file. And so that's just our preference. And so all it is we just load in the rasterized image. We just tell it here are what colors, what bitmap colors we want to pick up. If we want it to pick up the green, we could have it pick up the green, but for the sake of visibility, I'm going to actually get these in a, have it pick up, darken these images a little bit and pick these up as black, just so it's easier to see. Okay, so from here we could just create the vectors, and so now we're presented with a vector overlay over the bitmap. So if we scrolled in, you could actually see the pixelation and the vector paths. And so this is what happens when you process, through any trace program. These programs do the best job that they can to fill in these spaces in between the pixels, but it is not perfect. And 99% of the time, in order to make the graphic a good graphic, there's just manual correction that has to happen. You have to actually have somebody get in and physically, manipulate the nodes and make the corrective edits that are required to straighten the image out. Correct these sort of sags and bends, and just make sure that the straight lines are straight, the curves are curved. Get rid of these little kinds of steps. If we were to just take this image straight as is, we could, engrave with this. That's what would come out, and you could engrave with this, but all these imperfections would show up in your product, and it's it makes for a lower quality engraving. And I know I wouldn't want it. If I were paying to have something engraved, I'd want it to be engraved with the best possible graphic. And so we offer those services, to make these corrections. So from this point, we are going to, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and fast forward through this next part. But I'm going to make all the corrective edits that would be needed as if this were a customer provided file, and just so you can see how that plays out. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so with that is I'd call that finished. As you can see, we got all the lines straightened out. The curves are a lot smoother. There's going to be some slight variation from the original artwork, but I mean, any of those little tiny subtle differences are not going to be distinguishable by by the human eye, especially once it's engraved in a product. But yeah. So I would, I'd consider that a win. So at this point, we can just export. Let's go ahead and export that to that file. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and load in that test1 file, and there's the file. There's the edited file that we made. Remember, I changed everything to black, and from there I made all the corrections needed. Scale this up. There's no pixelation, no distortion. Everything's nice and clean, and we can, for comparison, we can go ahead and bring this into this file, and we'll just kind of do an overlay to compare the two. So yeah, so as you can see, here's the original raster artwork, and then here's the corrected vector file. So everything's much smoother, and then we would be able to process that into run it through our laser engraver and be off to the races. So yeah, that's the basics on how this process works. Could be could be much more involved depending on the complexity of the artwork. We've had some. I mean, we've had some jobs come through with very ornate, very detailed you know jobs that took 6-7 hours of actual corrective work to fix the file and to make the to make the artwork usable in the engraving process. Customer was very adamant about it being used for laser engraving, and that's just that's what they paid for. So yeah, it's yeah, those services are available for use. We have the pricing, the starting points. We have a basic conversion for $25. We have a complete conversion that starts at 35, but that would be where we would need to actually see the artwork first to kind of assess what is going to be needed, and then we'd be able to give you a fixed price, based on that estimate. And yeah, that's the basics of it. So yeah, if you have questions, just questions, comments, suggestions, etc., you can email us at sales@craftworksnw.com, or you can give us a call at 360-952-8196. And yeah, it's with that, I think we can wrap this video up. And until next time, thanks.